Se reían de algo dicho por un líder político progre de su país. El político en mención afirmó que existen mujeres que tienen bolillas. Luego le preguntaron a ella si estaba de acuerdo con dicha afirmación y resultó que ella también estaba de acuerdo. Y lo verás en este video. En él se conversa acerca de permitir hacer uso de baños y espacios destinados para mujeres a hombres que se sienten delicados. Mira el video completo y dime qué opinas.
And we've talked about Ed David. He's previously said that women can have a penis.
So a woman can have a penis?
Well, quite clearly.
Really? Joanna, Lee, what are your thoughts? Joanna, come on.
Well, look,
surely you can't support this nonsense.
A woman, somebody identifying as a woman, technically, can. If you believe in gender identity, then yes, they should have, specified that it's not just, saying woman specifically in terms of thinking about that as biology.
But it is biology. Okay, if it's not biology, what is
gender
a woman?
Identity.
No, hold on. If it's not a biological reality, what is a woman?
It depends. If you see a woman...
What is a woman?
Well, somebody who, in this day and age, and if we're going to be, inclusive of the trans community, and you believe in gender identity, then it's about somebody who can identify legally as a woman.
But
So
what
then
is that?
obviously
What is
makes
that?
them-
What is that, though? Like, what makes you a woman? If it's not biological reality,
Yeah.
what would you describe a woman is?
Somebody who was transitioned, someone who was transitioned or somebody who was born as a woman. So both.
Yeah, but
Both
what
the
is that,
people who
though?
are-
See, I can say,
Yeah.
biologically, a woman has a vagina. I can say a woman has a cervix. Most women, unless there's something wrong with the woman, most of us have a cervix. They can go through menopause. We have periods, and we can give birth. I can easily biologically say to you what a woman is. You cannot.
Well, I think personally where I draw the line, and I get where you're coming from now with your question, where I draw the line, if somebody has actually transitioned physically in terms of had some sort of surgery and become a woman and then can actually legally identify as a woman, not just somebody who puts on a wig and says that, I am now a woman. And the reason why I say that is because of cases like Isla Bryson in Scotland, where, you're charged with 2 counts of in 2019, and then by 2020 you've got to pick.
But your initial definition was somebody who has a gender certificate. Isla Bryson could have easily, and I don't know whether he did or didn't, but could have easily got one of these, especially in Scotland, where they're making it easier. So someone like him would have been seen as a woman.
That's where I draw the line, and that's what I don't agree with. But I do think that once you've transitioned,
but you can't
you're a
check
trans
somebody's.
woman,
You can't check
no,
what
but once you've
somebody's.
transitioned your genitalia and you've become a woman, then I think that
That's very
Lee Harris. Lee Harris.
A woman is an adult human female.
Yeah.
And I just can't, it frustrates, and I do think about this a lot. I'm the only man in the house. I have a 8-year-old daughter and a wife.
Oh.
And I do think about this a lot, and I worry about my daughter's future when this just can't be discussed like grown-ups. I think I'm watching children whenever I see this being debated, especially, well, or not debated, as in the case of listening to people like Keir Starmer, who just obfuscates about everything. He can't answer the question. I think it's absolutely infuriating. Why can't they just state? And I don't want to directly have a poppy because I know what you're saying.
No, go on.
I do genuinely understand what you're saying. So you're saying that we should be respectful and kind. I don't think
Of course,
there's
that's
anybody.
not the point, though.
Yeah, I don't think
That's not the point.
anybody is saying that they're going to be just because we're not. A man cannot become a woman and a woman cannot become a man. But if a man wants to be called Tracy and dresses like a woman, I've got absolutely no problem with that. But they should not be able to have access to women-only spaces. In the previous life, I used to do a bit of recruitment. I, as a man, was not even allowed to phone, on the telephone, a women's refuge centre because I was a man. And those are the sort of situations, and you mentioned Isla Bryson as well, those are the sort of situations where actually we do need to have a proper, serious, not debate. I don't think the debate even needs to happen. We just need to be sensible about this.
And realistic.
No.
Now, I've got to come back to Joanna Shashi because she wanted to make... We were talking about the whole trans debate. Where were you on it?
Yeah, you know what? I'll be completely honest. I kind of stumble over my words when I'm talking about it because it's such a sensitive topic, and I never want to kind of offend anyone. And I am pro people, deciding their gender identity and transitioning and being treated with respect. But sometimes I also think to myself, the same way that I'm so kind of open and welcoming and acknowledge all of the things that trans people might go through, I would also like to see that from the other side as well. So obviously,
What do you mean by that? You'd like to see trans people more understanding of where we, as women...
Yeah, understanding of where women, especially if you're a trans woman and you identify as a woman, then surely, you would understand that just in the same way that, a trans woman might feel unsafe in a male space because they're trans. And obviously we've seen that trans hate crimes have gone up by 11%. So it is a thing. But then at the same time, also acknowledge the fact that women could be at risk. And can I just say, to clarify, it's not that women are at risk of genuine trans women in their spaces. It's the fact that when you open up these spaces, sometimes what can happen is that actual men who are then pretend to be legitimate trans women. So I actually think that a solution for this would be to have, some sort of legislation where they have their own separate, like a gender-neutral toilet that's
But I think we've all... I mean, that seems pretty obvious to me, and I don't get why there's a sort of forcing on the, we'll just, we can all be the same, but we're not. And there's a reason why we're not, because... And a lot of people say, that trans people are the most vulnerable. I actually think women are the most vulnerable. Women are the most vulnerable, proportionately as well. But everyone, in a sense, in that environment is vulnerable. So I just think then there should be a space for a third space. I don't see what the problem is, and I don't get why anyone would see that as a bad thing. It doesn't make you... for suggesting something that is obvious.
I think the problem is with that, though, and I agree, that is the perfect solution, is that wherever you go, there's always a third space, everyone's happy, that's job done, effectively.
Yeah.
But at the moment, we haven't got the infrastructure for it.
Well, some places, the majority of places you go, there's a men, women's, and then there's a...
Yeah, where there are places, I've been to places where there is kind of unisex, like where you go to a swimming pool.
I think they need to stop that.
That's fine.
But I think they need to stop that.
There are a lot of places where there aren't. When my wife takes my daughter swimming, for example, down the swim, there isn't in that particular place.
Can I just pick up on that?
Very quickly, because I've got to move on to the next topic.
What is the difference between now? There's so many spaces. Just before this show, I went into a unisex toilet, and
none of us likes it. Nobody likes it.
Yeah, but then nobody
No, we don't want it, though. If we could change it, we would.
Nobody's making that much of a big deal about it. We already have that. It exists.
Yeah, we do. But remember, you're in an environment where everybody we all sort of know each other and so on and so forth. So we're talking about when you go to a real public exposed space where there's not.
Where there's unisex toilet. It already exists.
And actually, they're changing that. I think they're changing that now. I don't really like that.
I agree.
But a lot of times as well, in those spaces, they are single cubicles that you shut the door in, and it's just you.
Yeah.
So in that space, I don't so much mind that. But if it is one where you're in a place where there's lots of, there's an open thing and it's just, I don't think it works. And I think that I would love it for them to change it. I think there is a new law now that says it has to have male, female and a separate space.
Algunas personas expresan preocupaciones sobre la seguridad y la privacidad en los baños llamados unisex, especialmente en relación con mujeres y niños. Temen que estos espacios puedan ser mal utilizados por violines cochinos. Sin embargo, los defensores señalan que la seguridad depende más de la supervisión y las políticas efectivas que del tipo de baño en sí. Los defensores de este tipo de baños, por ejemplo, argumentan que estos espacios promueven la inclusión y el respeto hacia los hombres que se sienten delicados, quienes a menudo enfrentan una supuesta discriminación y acoso al usar baños que no corresponden con su identidad de género. Entre estas dos cosas, es decir, la seguridad de las mujeres y niños y la comodidad, así es, solo comodidad de hombres que prefieren el color rosa, pues el sentido común señala que se debe dar prioridad a lo primero. La prioridad debe recaer en la protección y seguridad de las mujeres y los niños. ¿Y tú qué opinas? Déjamelo saber en los comentarios. Y aquí culmina este video. Si te gustó, dale like, comenta el video y compártelo. Asimismo, si te gusta este tipo de contenido, suscríbete a mi canal. Muchas gracias, hasta luego.